Hey guys, so we're going to be going over the red team threat intel. Let's go ahead and take a look at this introduction here. So they're just going over threat intelligence TI and cyber threat intelligence CTI, and is the information or TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures, attributes to an adversary commonly used by defenders to aid in detection measures. The red cells can leverage CTI from an offensive perspective to assist in adversary emulation. All right, so they use cyber threat intelligence to emulate the adversaries. So if we go to the next one, it explains what is threat intelligence. Expanding upon task one can be consumed to take an action upon data by collecting IOCs, indicators of compromise, and TDPs, commonly distributed and maintained by ISACS. Intelligence platform and frameworks also aid in consumption of CTI, primarily focused on an overarching timeline of activities. Traditionally, defenders use threat intelligence to provide context to the ever-changing threat landscape and quantify findings. IOCs are commonly quantified by traces left by the adversary, such as domains, IPs, files, strings, etc. Blue team can utilize various IOCs to build detection and analyze behavior. From a red team perspective, you can think of threat intelligence as the red team's analysis of the blue team's ability to properly leverage CTI for detection. So it's the red team analysis of the blue teams. Interesting. Okay. And so next we will be looking at applying threat intel to red teams. And they discuss the different frameworks that you can use to collect the TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures of the adversaries. And then they go over some of the frameworks here to include this one, but they mainly focus on MITREs. So if we go here to TTP mapping is employed by red cells to map adversaries' collected TTPs to a centered cyber kill chain. TTP mapping to a kill chain aids the red team in planning an engagement to emulate an adversary. So if you wanted to emulate like a Russian or Chinese adversary, you can go to MITRE's website and they have their graph like this here, where it'll show you the different lateral movements. So if we scroll down, they'll tell you how these adversaries utilize reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, and actions of objectives. So that's all interesting. Oh, whoops, sorry guys. I didn't go over the answers for the ones above. Let me check if they even had any answers. I don't think they did. No, they don't. Okay, good. Okay, so let me go back to this one. All right, cool. All right, reading the above, MITRE attack neighbor to answer the questions below using a carbonic layer. How many command and control techniques are employed by Okay, so to figure that out, all you need to do is you can go to the attack navigator, I believe, and that'll take you here. You could employ a new layer. I just pick enterprise, and then that'll bring up this cyber kill chain. And then once you're in the cyber kill chain document, let me just kind of minimize my browser here. If we move off to the right-hand side, or actually it's one of these. So if you click this magnifying glass, you can then look for a specific threat group, or you can search for certain techniques. So here's a search icon here. So if I'm looking for the one that they're wanting me to look for, let me duplicate this because I think I just Need to go back to TRYHACKME. There we go. So you want to make open up another browser, and then if we go to this here, it's asking about this specific group here. So I'm just gonna grab that, and I'm gonna go here. I'm just gonna paste that in, see if I get anything. And then here we can see something here. So if I click view, you can see some details there. And if I go back, oh, actually, okay, so it's still here. So TRYHACKME is asking how many command and control techniques are there. So we selected this one, and if I were to just go off to the right, command and control, and then hover over it, you can see they have remote access software is the technique they utilize. And then if I scroll down a little bit more, there's probably another one here. Interesting. There's just one. Should be two. There's one. Okay. So if I go here and no, it doesn't show command and control. Oh, here we go. C2. Team viewer for remote interaction, C2 target system. Let's go to hint here. Lighter. Where does this take me? Let's go to it. Yeah, I think it's just where I was. Okay. Interesting. I think this is one of, okay, here we go. Command and control, remote access software. Okay, so I'm guessing these are the two here. I was either thinking these are the two or no, I don't think that's the two. Oh, maybe it is. Yeah, it is highlighted. So yeah, that's probably it then. These two. I'm not gonna lie, I was having trouble with this one, especially since MITRE they update this, and so I noticed I had trouble with one of them, and it would just it wasn't there. I think we'll see it right now. So what sign binary did Armament used for defensive evasion? Okay, so defensive evasion, they use run DLL 32. So defensive evasion, let me take that word there. And I'm gonna look that up real quick within defensive evasion. Okay, so here's defensive evasion. And if you scroll down, it does mention run 32 right there. Some binary proxy execution. Let's see if we come here and we just like input this. See if it brings anything up. No, well, yeah, kinda. Let's do answer. Defensive evasion tactic. A valid account. Let's see what else he gives us here. See, for mine, it doesn't show that. It just shows threat group software, maybe. Oh, that might be it then. Well, no, not exactly, because that shows 3 files. Interesting. When I actually went to their hint though, I was able to find it. Like, right, if I go to the one that they pulled up, defensive evasion run DLL 32. Let me go off to the right and see what settings they have for the search. Name, attack ID, description, data source. And then let me check mine to see if I have that enabled. Yeah, I have that enabled. Except I'm only supposed to be viewing one group here. So that's a little weird. What initial access technique is employed? Like initial access. Okay, so let me go over to the one I had. Initial access. Valid accounts. And that should be an answer. Yeah, valid accounts. Yeah, so interesting. I mean, if I were to just go to my site right now and pull it up, for some reason, what I'm seeing, what they're seeing is a little different. So, yep, that's interesting. But if you look at theirs, if you follow their link, you will get the answer for run 32, which is right there. But for some reason, I don't see it. So let me actually go to system binary proxy execution. System binary proxy execution. And that was for defensive evasion. Okay. Oh, there it is. Oh, so maybe I was just supposed to expand all of these out or something. And then when I did that, then I should have seen it. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So that's probably where I didn't. Yep, that's exactly what it was. Okay. And I'm pretty sure this would answer that question, the run DLL 32. But if we were to like scroll up, let's see if there's any other options that probably would have checked out for that one. Let's see here. Let me just expand all these out and see if anything else comes up. No, okay, yeah. So that does make sense. Yeah. So if we highlight that one, then it will show up right there. I don't really like how it highlights it. I wonder if I could change that. Okay, yeah, I'll play around with that later. So I guess when you're looking at it, you just have to expand everything and then make sure you hover over the threat group you want to see. And when you select it, it'll kind of like do this border around it to indicate it's been selected. I wish it would like highlight it better, but yeah, that would help to know the answers. So yep, those are the answers there. Other red team applications of CIT. All right, CIT can also be used during engagement, execution, emulating the adversary's behavior characteristics such as CT traffic, user agents, ports protocols, listeners profiles, malware tools, IOC, and behaviors. All right, adversary example. So yeah, they're just talking about how you can emulate the adversaries by utilizing like custom droppers and such. We'll just move on here. All right. Now this is probably where you're stuck. This is where I was stuck for sure. Creating a threat intel driven campaign. And here goes over the kill chain for reconnaissance, weaponization, execution, delivery, initial access, exploitation, installation, command and control, actions on objectives, and then how that's going to look when you're actually looking at the layers here. So let's see here. Let's go back to TRYHACKME real quick, and I'm going to click View. And for the first one, they're asking you to take a look at APT 41. So if you click on this link here, it'll take you to the minor attack framework, and then if you want to see the layers, you can just click Attack Navigation Layers and then go to View. Once that loads, you'll see the view here. Oh, this is probably what I should have done for the other one. Oh well. So let's look at the questions that they want us to answer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go here. This is the one we're previously working on. I'm gonna close that one out so I don't get confused. I'm gonna duplicate this one. And then I'm gonna go, let me see here. I'm gonna duplicate this one. And then I'm gonna go back with one of these. So, sorry guys, I'm clicking around. So if I go back here and then we load to view the site, here we can see the different stages. So let me pull up my notes here. And let's take a look at the different stages here. And also the answers. So first one we have here, it's going to be the weaponization. And weaponization stage of the cyber kill chain occurs after reconnaissance has taken place and the attacker has discovered all necessary information about the potential targets, such as vulnerabilities. In the weaponization stage, all of the attacker's preparation work helps in the creation of malware used against an identified target. Weaponization can include creating new types of malware or modifying existing tools to use in cyber attacks. For example, cyber criminals may make minor modifications to an existing ransomware variant to create a new cyber kill chain tool. So it's mainly like, okay, so if I am doing my recon first stage and I've identified there's a Windows Exchange server, then I'm going to ensure that my malware is targeted for that specific type of system. And so I'm targeting a specific system, and I'm also making some type of payload that's going to allow it to connect back to like a C2 server or something. So, you know, if you're looking at APT 41 and you're just looking at the minor attack framework, if we scroll over here and we just take a look here, what it tells us, it says the weaponization is the execution phase of the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So if we're looking at the execution phase here, you can see they utilize PowerShell. Now, interestingly, you can actually pick any of these options in blue. Any of them would probably be the answer because we can see APT41 uses PowerShell for the execution, aka weaponization. The interesting part about this is that we can just input PowerShell here. I created a video where I show you how to exploit the MSDT vulnerability, which has a CVE behind it as well. And essentially what it is, it's a Word document, and you've made that Word document basically inject some PowerShell code to then execute on the system, right? So when they open the Word document, it will inject PowerShell code. So you can say that they've weaponized that Word document, and if I were just targeting a specific system, then that would also be like a weaponization of that. For the delivery portion, so you see this little box, little Amazon box there, that's the delivery portion. So how would you deliver it? By spear phishing attack. So if we go to the MITRE ATT&CK framework, and we also go here, so the delivery is the initial access. So let's go to the initial access here, so you can see the initial access here. They have spear phishing attachments, or you could probably use compromised software supply chain. And so what you can do is you can send this Word document via social media. I mean, think about it, like LinkedIn. You can say, hey, this is my resume or something to an HR person. They're like, oh, cool. They open it, and they don't even know they're being infected with malware. So you can see how that can be quite effective. You could even send it to something like a sysadmin or something of that sort. From an external company stating that they're they like to provide them services, and they're already in contact with, their CISO or whatnot, and they may actually believe in it and be like, oh, okay, well, let me open up this Word document, see what's in here. And so that's how the spear phishing attack and the delivery would go about, right? And I would highly recommend you check out that MSDT vulnerability video I have, because you want to get some hands-on knowledge. These are exploits the bad guys are definitely using. Okay, and you want to think like the bad guys and everything. So you gotta think of like the tool and techniques that they may be using. So this next one right here, this is going to be the exploitation phase. And so they're going to be exploiting remote services. So if we go to the um, layers here and we take a look at what it says um, the exploitation is, that's going to be the initial access as well. So remote services. So we come here and we look at initial access, and let me scroll up a little bit, see if it, okay, so actually, see where it says that remote access. Sorry, guys. I know I was just looking at it a second ago. Oh boy. I was literally just looking at it a second ago. Okay. Let me expand this one. Nope, it's not in there. External remote services. So external remote services, that's the actual answer right there. So they're gonna gain initial access through external remote services. Okay, so external remote services, remote services, okay. And that's gonna be the exploitation phase. So exploitation phase is a stage that follows delivery and weaponization. In the exploitation steps of the cyber kill chain, attackers take advantage of vulnerabilities they have discovered in previous stages to further infiltrate a target's network and achieve their objectives. In this process, cyber criminals often move laterally across the network to reach their targets. Exploitation can sometimes lead attackers to their targets if those responsible for the network have not deployed measures. Okay, so remote services, external remote services can help to take advantage of vulnerabilities and laterally move to other targets, right? And so next is going to be the installation phase. So according to what we see here, they utilize bit jobs. So if we go to what would be the equivalent of the installation phase, persistence and defense evasion. So let's take a look at the attack navigator here. So here we go, bit jobs. So you can see bit jobs right here. And so that would be the answer there. I'm pretty sure you could choose any of the other ones as well, but that's the one I chose. So we'll go ahead and put bit jobs there for the installation. So after cyber criminals have exploited their target's vulnerabilities to gain access to a network, they begin the installation stage of the cyber kill chain, attempting to install malware and other cyber weapons onto the target network to take control of its systems and exfiltrate valuable data. In this step, cyber criminals may install cyber weapons and malware using Trojan horses, backdoors, and command line interfaces. All right, so the different ways they can go about installing these cyber tools. All right, so the next portion is the command and control. So if we go to command and control, it's the next one, and they use DNS. So if we go to the attack navigator, command and control is off to the right. You can see DNS right here. That's the technique they used. And if I go over here, let's go and talk about command and control. In the C2 stage of the cyber kill chain, cyber criminals communicate with the malware they've installed onto the target's network to instruct cyber weapons or tools to carry out their objectives. For example, attackers may use communication channels to direct computers infected with the Mariah botnet malware to overload a website with traffic, or C2 servers to instruct computers to carry out cyber criminal objectives. And so using DNS would make sense, and the fact that you can actually exfiltrate a lot of data through DNS, as well as the fact that um, you may masquerade your traffic as being something other than what your firewalls might detect. So if your DNS is something that is commonly used for internet access, and so that service, it's normal to see traffic for DNS, but it can be something that the adversaries utilize to mask their traffic, right? And let's go on to the next one here. So next one is going to be actions and objectives, exfiltration / impact. So key logging, and this is kind of like, I guess, the persistence phase of it. So actions on objectives. After cyber criminals have developed cyber weapons, installed them onto the target network, and taking control of their target network, they begin the final stage of the cyber kill chain, carrying out their cyber objectives. While cyber criminals' objectives may vary on the type of cyber attacks, some examples include weaponizing and botnets to interrupt services with distributed denial of service attacks, distributing malware to steal sensitive data from the target organization, and using ransomware as a cyber extortion tool. Okay, so key logging and how this can be used. So if we go here, you can see off to the right, you'll see key logging. If we go to what's the equivalent of the exfiltration impact, right? Exfiltration, and impact. Okay, so data encrypted for impact, resource hijacking. If I click on any of these, and then let me expand these out because like I didn't do that last time. And there's the answer there. Interesting. Um, Data encryption, resource hijacking. I think this is where I got stuck last time because I was like, I don't see that as an answer, but it's saying it is an answer. So keylogging, here we go. Keylogging is a part of the collections. Okay. And filtration impact. And it doesn't really make sense. Keylog is right here, to be honest with you. But this is what I had to look online to see if I could find the answers. I'm not gonna lie, because it was a difficult one. Until I realized, hey, I know how to use the Attack Navigator. I've used it before, and I thought, okay, well, the answers are here. Obviously, this thing's being updated, and so it's possible maybe that was the answer previously. As we know, TryHackMe does get the answers wrong sometimes. Perhaps they were actually, you know, referencing collections, but that's apparently the answer. Now we can try changing it, I guess, and see if if it'll take it. Yeah, because I actually did that with one of these earlier. I changed it, just made it one of the other options here, and then actually it worked. So I'm guessing it could take a list of options. So for exfiltration and impact. So if I go back to this here, resource hijacking. So I guess what we can do is we can just use that as an answer and see if it actually like takes it. So let me just open a notepad real quick so I can just type that in. Okay, I just typed that in. Go back over here. And keylogging worked for me last time, but we'll try resource hijacking, see if that works instead. Let's check the answers, and it worked. So yeah, it looks like if you're having trouble with it and you're like, hey, I don't see keylogging there, you could use resource hijacking as well, and then you'll get your flag. And so you could just input your flag there, and then you're all good to go. So it's asking what web shells is APT41 known to use. So apparently they use the ASPX spy. Which if I go here to web shells, in order to find stuff like that, what might work better is just taking keywords and then going over to the attack navigator. Actually, where's my other one at? I think it's this one. Yeah, here it is. This is APT41. Yeah, and you could just put this in the search bar up here. Yep, and then here you go. So if I look up web shells within this page here for the APT41, this was the first page, if you don't remember, that we had looked at, and then we had gone over to the navigator by clicking on the attack navigator here. By that, click on that. So if we go down to like where it's highlighted, yeah, you can see it's aspx.spy, so that's the name of the software. So that would answer that question, right? And then what live off the land binaries and scripts does APT use to aid in file transfer? All right, so I'm just gonna copy that answer there, certil, and your certil right there mentions how they use it. Mentions over here, APT uses certil to download additional files, and that makes sense. I'm pretty sure there's additional reading to get to that, but what tool does APT41 use to mine and monitor SMS traffic? So again, I'd probably just use SMS. I don't get anything. So MSMS traffic, look at traffic. And message tap. Should list all the tools they use. Message tap. There it is. So if you clicked on message tap here, it'd give you some more information So message app is data mining malware file family deployed by APT41 in telecommunication networks to monitor and save SMS traffic for specific phone numbers. So if you did some digging, you would eventually find the answer, but there it is right there. So, and then they go over the conclusion, um, essentially saying how the red team is able to emulate, the bad guys. So this room was pretty informative. I really enjoyed it.